Over here by the greenhouse is looking really pretty. I haven't given it fresh mulch, but the old mulch is not looking too bad. So one thing, this fern that I planted here, it did not fare well from the winter. So I'm thinking about digging it up and planting something else. This is completely shade for the most part up until midsummer. This area right behind the rocks will get full sun, and so I've planted some annuals here. The let's see, it's the Supertunia saffron finch. Now I cut the blooms off of it, and you can see it's starting to branch out here, some little baby buds or little baby leaves forming. So that will fill out and have beautiful yellow blooms, and we'll get full sun. But it's most things are still not quite to peak. My autumn frost hostas are coming out, looking great. The all gold Hakana cloa grass is looking awesome, coming out, spreading, getting thicker. This is the Little Mermaid clematis here. You can see all the blooms getting ready to come out. I did not prune this back at all, so we'll see what happened. From what I read, this one is the pruning type that it puts out the biggest blooms first thing in the spring. You don't want to cut it back in the winter or the early spring because you miss out on the first blooms. But then you can cut it back, and you can see all of its foliage is pretty much at the top. There's a little bit of new growth down at the bottom, but it pretty much puts all of its beauty up here at the very top of this. So you could certainly underplant these clematis, and they would be fine. They like to have their roots shaded anyway. This is the Spot On pulmonaria or lungwort, looking great. It did not look so hot at first. Pulmonaria always looks kind of sickly to me when it first comes out, but then it really amazes me. One of the most beautiful things that I have in this little bed is this Dandy Man color wheel rhododendron. I can't seem to grow rhododendrons very well, but this one right here is, to me, breathtaking. Of course, I'm partial to this shade of pink, but this one has such neat coloration. If you look at the blooms, they have the little dark stripe, and it's completely covered. Now, the leaves don't look so healthy, but I think it's just, maybe it's gotten too much rain. We had a massive flooding here in Kentucky. It was on the news, and I'm thinking that it probably got too much water. We have a lot of clay in our soil, so it holds water. I think these roots like to be moist, but not just soaked, and I think they got soaked. So hopefully it's not going to kill the plant. But this, to me, this foursome here, I'm in love with. You've got the heuchera, and I'm pretty sure this is berry smoothie. This is a heuchera. Then you've got the lamium that's got sort of a pinkish purple bloom, which is only got a couple blooms. I don't necessarily raise it for the blooms or grow it for the blooms. I love that foliage. Then you have this beautiful pink shrub. It's just a baby now. It's going to get upward around 4 feet. So it's going to fill in this area. And then behind it, you have this really awesome Hope Springs Eternal hosta. And it's just, all of this is very young stuff. Over to the left here, you have another autumn frost, which is besides some more lamium. I think that's a beautiful combination. That autumn frost will get significantly larger. It should meet up with the lungwort there. So I think that'll be a pretty combination. Eventually all of these daffodils will dry up and I'll cut them back, but I've enjoyed them. There's another smaller grouping of lamium here. These are Green Mountain boxwoods. I'm trying to train this one. He was really stunted. He's got one little leader coming up, so I'll probably prune on him a little bit, trying to make him a nice cone shape. I have not pruned him yet. There's one here. It's kind of fluffy looking. But all out here in the front, I have put those saffron finch. One there, and then there's one here. They're probably about 4 feet apart, these saffron finches, all the way down through there for summer color. I also have some little tiny hydrangeas that are a couple of years old. This one is the Tiny Quickfire, and it is tiny. Last year it did have blooms on it. It actually had like pretty substantial sized blooms, but this plant here right at the moment is only about a foot. I wouldn't even say it's quite a foot, probably about 10 inches tall. So I'm hoping it puts on a little more growth. But isn't that color combination right there absolutely gorgeous? And all of these things like shade. Lamium, the heuchera can tolerate shade, and that rhododendron and that hosta in the background. Now, if I had like a Wiggles and Squiggles hosta, or if I had one of these autumn frosts kind of mixed in there, wow, you talk about a color combo. You know, it's just very pleasing to the eye, I think. And then I've got some repeats here, some more Lamium, another Hope Springs Eternal hosta, another Tiny Quickfire. Right there, you can barely see it, but that's the Tiny Quickfire. There's another Autumn Frost. And this is the Trevi Fountain lungwort. Now the difference is that the Trevi Fountain primarily has blue as its flowers. The lungwort has pink and blue, shades of purple, but the Trevi Fountain really primarily has blue. And it's just gorgeous. And its spotting is a little bit different than the Proven Winners, the spot on. So it's also a beautiful lungwort. I found that it performs equally as well. Back here I lost this fern, so that gives me an opportunity to plant something else here, which honestly, if I could get my hands on another one of these rhododendrons. The problem is I can't find them anywhere locally, and if I order them online, I get these little bitty quart pots. It takes forever for them to grow. They seem to be more vulnerable when they're little like that. So I'd like to find, you know, like a 2-gallon at least container of that. And then I've got another Little Mermaid clematis that's getting ready to just explode with color. It's just loaded with those blooms. If you can see, they have not opened yet. It's just loaded with them. I can't wait to show you that because last year it did okay, but I think this year is going to be really the year for it to shine. There's another heuchera, and of course some more of that saffron finch. This is a blue hosta that I had just transferred from another place in my garden area behind the house, and I have no idea the name of it. This is a yarrow. This is the Tutti Frutti pink grapefruit. Something interesting, this little tuft of grass here is a little piece I had pulled up over here. It was just getting a little bit out of its bounds, and I just ripped it up, and it had a little root, like one little root attached to it. And I thought, well, maybe it'll take. So I stuck it in the ground right there in front of this shrub, which is glorious. And that little sucker took root, and it's gone from one little sprig to now it's multi-sprigged. So this Hakanakloa grass is very, very tough, and it's beautiful. So I think it'd be kind of neat. It's the same color basically as what's in the Nightlight Chamaecyparis here, but it'll just kind of, you know, skirt the bottom of it. And I may end up moving it if I don't like that location. I really just didn't even think it would survive. There's another clematis here. This one is a blue clematis. It's getting ready to open, just ever so close to getting there. And the name of this one, I can never remember. It's like Blue Sky or Blue something. Blue Light. Blue Light. And I'm thinking that's a weed. Hope it is. Anyway, Blue Light. This will be beautiful. It's a light blue bloom. This was another hydrangea, not hydrangea, I'm sorry. This is another rhododendron. You can't even see it right there. It died like last year. It was dead. So I need to pull it up, and that'll be an opportunity. Now, right in this area here, it does get some sun, because as the sun comes over here, right when the sun's about here, and this is the west, this is over there is the south, it shines right through here and gets this kind of this corner. It does get some sun, so I kind of have to be mindful of that. I've got a couple of little bushes, I call them bushes, they're not bushes, perennials, of Gara. This is the Proven Winners Gara here. Can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. This is a little tree form Rose of Sharon. It's the Proven Winners Sugar Tip is the name of this one, Rose of Sharon. And I tree formed it, and I've only had it in the ground about 1 full year, so it's still fairly young. This little baby bushy stuff here, it will be beautiful once it fills in. This is a pink balloon flower, and hopefully it makes it. I see some dried up pieces in there, so I'm hoping it makes it. It's pretty vigorous little plant. But I started this one from seed, and I transplanted it last fall, so I don't know. Hopefully it'll make it through. This is some more yarrow. I believe this is the same variety, the Tutti Frutti pink grapefruit. And you can, one thing that's looking absolutely glorious right now, and I need to mulch this area, so please look over how barren it looks. This is chocolate chip ajuga. Isn't that breathtaking? Holy moly. I would love it if the entire ground was covered with chocolate chip ajuga. And then look at this little heuchera. Wouldn't that be pretty when that heuchera gets bigger and that chocolate chip ajuga sort of surrounding it? And the heuchera will get taller too. They'll be about the same height, so they'll compete well. So I just think that that ajuga is absolutely glorious. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you'll know how crazy I am about this tree. This is, let me come over here a little bit closer. I've got it because the wind was so bad from our storms that I had to basically support it. I think I can take it off now, but let me make sure. This is a blue ice Arizona cypress. Yes. This is a blue ice, I call it an Arizona cypress. But one of the cool things right now is what it looks like up against these yellow irises. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Now, it takes on a little more of a blue color in the winter, because the new growth is not quite as blue. If you look at the new growth on it, it's coming out more of a green. But the old is like a silvery blue. I don't know that the video is doing it justice, but I have the Sunshine Ligustrum back here, and I really pruned it hard, so they're kind of little balls right now, but they'll grow, and the more sun they get, the more yellow they are. So as those fill in, this blue with that yellow backdrop will be really striking. But these frilly little irises with that blue ice Arizona cypress is just, I could stand here and look at this like all day. It's very pleasing to the eye. So we're a zone 7A. I believe this is rated as a zone 7. So I put it, this is the south wall of this barn. So it's protected from north winds, but it's done very well. We've had some pretty cold winters, and it did not seem to be affected at all. There was no branch die off or anything. It's done very well. But I just wanted to show you how beautiful that yellow. And here's a kind of a neat, you can see this blue branch with that yellow bloom. I think blue and yellow look so pretty together. So this is the front of our house, and you can see there's the fields and the main road is out that way. Got a couple of Japanese maples here in the front of our sidewalk. Obviously some bags of mulch that I need to put down, but I wanted to show you the daffodils. Now these daffodils are pretty much on their way out. They were prettier even 3 or 4 days ago, but there's still a lot of pretty ones. So I wanted to show you what I've done here. It sort of just traces out our sidewalk and the perimeter of our house. And what I've done is I planted a couple of years ago, I planted these daffodils in between my Stella d'Oro daylilies. And with the intent that while the daylilies are growing out, because I always cut them way back all the way to the ground, these daffodils will look really pretty. And about the time that the daffodils are spent and their foliage is dying and looking ugly, these daylilies will be really bushed out and putting on a show, which will sort of hide the dying foliage. Now, each year, these daffodils, like I said, it was about 2 years ago I planted them. Last year they were okay. This year they have really thickened up. So daffodils will really perennialize and thicken up, but they're just a beautiful, I can't pronounce their name. I don't know how you say the name of them, so I'm going to put it on the screen. But they've got a peach, very frilly, beautiful bloom. Some of them are darker peach, some of them are lighter peach. So, but they're just a gorgeous, pretty tall bloom stalk as well. But I've also got them on this side. And it's just neat seeing these little white pops of brightness there. So there's an azalea that's looking pretty. The azaleas are looking really pretty right now. April is definitely the month for azaleas. I do have a couple of tulips that are still looking really pretty. It's kind of late for tulips. This is the Angelique, and I planted these probably 5 years ago. And I am shocked and amazed I still have some of these coming up. This is a very old bloom, so you have to realize that it looked much prettier than this, but since it's still looking very colorful and bright, I thought I would at least show you these Angelique. Now this is also an Angelique one, and it's got very little pink. It's mostly white, so each tulip is slightly different, but it is a beautiful tulip, and it's been years. Normally tulips do not come back for us, so the Angelique has come back. At least several of them have. I didn't plant just a huge amount here, probably about 12, and I've got, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so that have come back for me. These are the prettiest ones. So the Angelique tulip is a beautiful, beautiful tulip. Right at the front door of our house, there are a couple of really neat hostas. This is I believe this one is the Empress Wu hosta. I always get the Wu La La and the Empress Wu confused. One is sort of a variegated leaf, and the other one is just like a solid bluish leaf. I don't remember which one. This is the slightly variegated one. But there's also this really bright chartreuse one here. But the reason I wanted to come over here is to show you the sweetest of all flowers. This is a Brunnera. I believe it is the Jack Frost. It may be the Queen. It may be the Jack of Diamonds. It may be the Queen of Hearts. They all basically are very, very similar. But look at that bloom. The camera had to adjust there. That is a true blue flower. Now this is a shade-loving plant. It does not like to have soggy roots. This is a Japanese maple here that's sort of blocking it. But this Brunnera has loved its life here, and it's just beautiful variegation in the leaves, very silver foliage whenever it's not blooming. This almost just gets completely drowned out by this Japanese maple. It would even probably look prettier if it had bright light, not sunlight, direct sunlight, but just a bright light. But it's really shaded with this Japanese maple. This Japanese maple doesn't even get enough sun because you can see how it's not very red. But this beautiful little blue flower on this Brunnera, some people pronounce it Brunnera. I pronounce it Brunnera. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it is so sweet. And they stand way above the foliage on pretty strong stems, but it is a sweet, sweet little flower. This area where the lamppost is, you probably, if you've seen my older videos, you know that this is where the phenomenal lavender is, and I love it. It's awesome. And I decided to plant something yellow to sort of contrast nicely with the silvery blue foliage plus the beautiful purple blooms that it's going to put out. So I decided on annuals, and I did an every other plant. One of them is the saffron finch. Now I cut it way back, so it's not blooming, but I'm sure by next month's video it will be probably starting to really put on some pretty blooms. It's stressed a little from just where I've planted it, but that's the saffron finch. And then alternating, I have the lantana. This is the Luscious Royale lemon tart, and it's going to get taller than this, but it's just a bright, fun yellow. So I'm hoping that I'll have the yellow around the perimeter of this beautiful phenomenal lavender. Now the phenomenal lavender, the older foliage is a very silvery blue, and this is what it looks like all winter long in my zone 7A. But the new growth coming out is more of a green, and there's just tons of new growth. I cut all of this back in the fall. Not late, it wasn't super late, so it did have a chance to sort of grow a little bit in the fall, and then in the winter it just sat there looking gorgeous. So this I just wanted to show you kind of a before. I just planted this, and I'm hoping that by May, if I do another little if you want to call this a garden tour, whatever you want to call this, that the yellow will be very vibrant and thick around this phenomenal lavender. And the phenomenal lavender should have gotten a little bit bigger as well. Over here by the barn, this is one of my favorite places. There's not very many flowers over here. I have some hellebores, but the foliage, this just goes to show you what you can do with foliage that is just as bright and colorful as any flowers. Actually, the flowers here on this hellebore is not colorful at all. I mean, it's green. It's like a kind of a sagey green color. You can see that this bloom on the hellebore, I mean, it's just a green. Now this hellebore, this is the Glenda's Gloss, the Frost Kiss hellebore called Glenda's Gloss. Inside it's green, but where it nods down, you can see it does have the pink edging, and it's just loaded with blooms. But the blooms are the color's very muted. It's not just a very showy standout hellebore. This one here is more of a, this is sort of these are old blooms. They were really pretty earlier, and I just planted these like the latter part of February, I think. So it's a new planting. And then I've got this little bitty baby one. I put the bricks around it so I don't step on it. I don't know if the rabbits chewed it off. It's struggling, but it does have new growth, so I'm hoping that it'll take off. But if you can look here, you'll notice that I have a lace leaf Japanese maple. The name of it, I lost the tag. It's been here for about 5 years. They're very slow growers, but they are very architectural. I mean, they're gorgeous. And you can plant them very close to a building because they're slow to grow. They don't get real large. And if I can remember, I will put the name of this one. But there's just tons of these dwarf, weeping, red colored Japanese maple, the lace leaf Japanese maple. So, I mean, there's so many of them. Any of them that you pick would be beautiful. Underneath it, I have the all gold Hakanakloa grass, which is still a fairly young planting. It's not been here but a couple of years, and it's just now starting to really emerge from the ground. Here, this is April the 20th. It's Easter, actually. Beside it, I have a blue hosta. It's a hosta that was in a different location around my house, and it wasn't doing very good, but it was getting wide, so I decided to dig it up and divide it and transplant it. And actually, if you look over here, you'll see that's part of that division. This one's doing better because it gets more shade. That one over there probably dries out faster. It's in more sun, at least right now. Now it will get in shade as the sun moves more towards the north as the season progresses. But right now the sun is still in a southerly direction, so it's getting hammered. These right here are not in bloom, but just to explain what they are, these are the wee white hydrangeas. There are 4 of them, and they're putting on their little flower buds, but it'll be a minute before they actually have their beautiful white cloud-like blooms. But this area it's basically just different colors of hostas and heuchera. There's that blue one from this direction. This is an Island Breeze hosta, and it's a fairly new planting, and it's just absolutely stunning. I mean, the leaves are clean. It gets morning sun. It is like the reverse of the autumn frost. The autumn frost has more of a blue-green interior in the leaf, and then the yellow margins. This one has the yellow in the interior and the green margins, which is really kind of neat. I think it's a neat complement to the autumn frost, which you can see is right there. That's an autumn frost hosta. And the autumn frost hostas, the leaves are quite a bit more leathery and thick. These leaves are not quite as thick, and they have a little more of the prominent veining. Here's a better example of one. It's a larger Island Breeze hosta. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, look at that color. It's just amazing. You know, especially when you pair it with a blue hosta and like a red heuchera like I've got over here. And if you mix it with this Hakanakloa grass, that chartreuse just really kind of adds to that. This little hosta here gets quite a bit of sun, and because it gets all morning sun, and you know, the bluer hostas I don't think like as much sunlight as the lighter color hostas. But this is a Hope Springs Eternal, which usually gets really large. I'll have to keep this one really heavily watered because it probably dries out pretty quick here, being in this hot sun. But it does get afternoon shade. All afternoon it's shaded. So, and it's just a little baby plant that I just planted there. back over to this side. This is a kind of a more of a orangey brick red heuchera. And the name on the tag here is Lava Lamp. And it did really well over the winter. Our winters do get into the single digits. You know, like I think our coldest maybe night was 6 degrees. And it did fine. It was planted last year. And then next to that, there is that autumn frost hosta, which is my favorite hosta for sure. I love the Empress Woo and the Woo La La. They're just because they're so magnificent and so large, and they work really well like on the corner, a shaded corner, like the north side of your house. But if you want a pop in a shady spot of color, this autumn frost is amazing. Very reliable. These have doubled in size. This is a cute little guy. This is a very chartreuse color. You can see the difference between its kind of a limey green up against that autumn frost. You can see that it's not a yellow. But this is the the Wiggles and Squiggles hosta. And as it was coming out this spring, it was pretty wide. So I actually chopped off some of it and I took a division and I planted it here, literally just like a week ago. And it's not wilted or anything. I watered it good. So this little guy will grow, and I'll have 2 matching, one here and one there. This one's obviously gonna outgrow it, but I have a planting of 4 of the autumn frost. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's another one of those divisions of that blue, that one hosta. I ended up with like 4 different divisions that I planted, and one of them I planted out by my greenhouse. Now this is a Georgia peach heuchera. I had 2 of these. I had one here in the center, but it did not make it. I don't know what happened, and this one looked really bad this past fall, but it came out, and it's really a beautiful color. It's wow, I'm not exactly sure what you would call that color. Maybe a mauve-y, but look at the veining. It's just a really, really nice one. It could be that they heaved out of the ground. It could be that they succumbed to some kind of fungal issue. I'm not really sure because it looks pretty, I don't know. In there, if you look deep, there's a lot of dead stuff. But in the center, where I replaced the dead Georgia peach, I planted this little guy, and it is a really plum purpley color. As a matter of fact, it's called Electric Plum. And it's just a little bitty plant that I got off of Etsy. It was in a little 3-inch pot, and I planted it. And so far, he doesn't seem like he's struggling. It was a little bitty when I planted it, so, you know, it'll take a while for him to grow up and be cute. But that's 3 different shades of a red heuchera. But I thought that plum in front of those autumn frost hostas would be really, really amazing. I want you to look at the size of the leaf of this hosta in comparison to like my hand. That's a big leaf for this is not really a huge hosta. But I love this area. It's very clean, and the colors are just amazing in that shady little border. Above it, my friend gave me a piece of a tiger fern, and the tiger ferns are really neat because they have variegation in their leaves. I'll show you. And so they're more of a bright fern, but if you can see this variegation. So this is the one I bought at a nursery. I found another tiger fern. This is the one I bought. But this one here is the one that my friend had given me just a little sprig. And I stuck it down in this pot, and it has just really taken off. It also has the variegation. Sorry. see that variegation? So it's also a very bright touch in a shady location. This area of the barn porch, I'm almost embarrassed to show you because I have not cleaned up these heuchera. They're old leaves, but I just wanted to take a moment and show you the two different types of heuchera and how you can plant them together and they complement each other. So this one, I'll put the name of it on the screen. It's something like Red Lightning, or gosh, it's probably long since covered its tag. It desperately needs to be divided, but the new growth on it has this really dynamic looking veining that just pops. And as it ages, you don't see as much. Let me see if I can find, you might get more of this kind of color. But when it comes out, and it'll stay like this for quite a long time. But up against this, I believe this is a berry smoothie heuchera, which also needs to be divided. It looks really neat with that. And then, of course, I'm trying to get some Scotch moss to sort of fill in this area. And there's another hellebore. This is a Frost Kiss Anna's red. It's blooming, but the blooms you can barely even tell because the color is just not very bright. But really, I wanted this one more for that leaf variegation. You can see that mottled looking lighter variegation in the leaf. I thought that was super interesting. But if you, I don't, I can't seem to just really do great with heuchera. Their roots are very shallow. I think I tend to maybe overwater them. But in this particular case, these look amazing. And this one gets maybe just a little bit, a few minutes of morning sun. But for the most part, it gets shade. But it does get bright light. There's no tree canopy over it. So it's looking really pretty. I just need to mulch everything and clean up. But wow, there's just so much cleaning up to do. And we're in the middle of planting our corn. And so that means I have to be available for my husband because I have to carry him from field to field or bring him fuel or whatever he needs me for. In this area right here, there's a big, either a bumblebee or a wood bee, carpenter bee, whatever you call them. This is two examples of salvia. I planted them side by side, and you can see the difference between the two varieties. These are both proven winners. So this back one here is called Back to the Fuchsia. And you can see that the stems are still sort of a green color and that real pretty pink coming off that green color. It's a beautiful flower. And it's taller. It's probably close to a foot taller than the other variety, which is the Pink Profusion. Now the Pink Profusion really blooms for a long time, and the stem, the bloom stalk on it is a dark color, so it provides a really neat contrast. Both varieties the bees and the pollinators love. They've got two big bees on there right now. Oop, got one just, and bumblebees. I see a little honeybee there, but you probably can't see it. But the if you want something small that only gets a little over a foot tall, the Pink Profusion is perfect. If you need something that's more about 2 feet tall, then and you are looking for a salvia that's a pink color, then probably the Back to the Fuchsia would be a good option for you. But this is a side-by-side comparison of both of them to kind of give you an idea what they look like. Both of the stems are very sturdy. You can cut both of them back after they get done blooming. They will reflush again. You'll get another bloom cycle, but might not be quite as floriferous, but it will still bloom again for you. And I've got some irises coming up here, starting to bloom, which looks really pretty with that salvia. Right here we have the candy corn spirea, which is very, very bright yellow right now, but when it first started coming up a couple of weeks ago, it had a defined 3-color transition. You could see at the very tips were just a bright burgundy pink, and then kind of it was almost an orangey pink, and then it faded into an orange, which faded into a yellow, and then it went into a chartreuse. Right now it's primarily just mainly a bright yellow, but it is beautiful. I think it looks really pretty with the candy tuft that's there in the background. But I have been so pleased with this candy corn spirea. I haven't seen the blooms yet because I think last year I had just planted it and it never produced many blooms. This is its second season, so I'm anxious to see what the blooms look like. And then over here, this is another spirea. This is a double play doozy. I believe this is a double play doozy spirea. And you can see the difference in the leaf color on this one. It's a very dark burgundy. And it is absolutely loaded up with flower buds. This is the storm cloud Amsonia, which is another real favorite of mine. It is a true blue. It's almost a, I don't know, it's almost a silvery blue. It's beautiful. And the stems are like this really dark color, so it just gives it a lot of, I'm sorry for the wind. It gives it a lot of dimensional look to it, but it's just really beautiful. And then behind it, you can see emerging is my decadence. It's the Blueberry Sunday Baptisia. So it'll be really pretty in a month, couple months maybe. This is a smoke bush. It's the Winecraft Black. And I don't know, I think these leaves are just amazing. It's almost an iridescence. They glow. At least as I'm looking through my sunglasses, they do. But I really kind of chopped these off. It grew so fast. It sent up these stalks. And I'm trying to sort of tree form it, which, you know, it is a shrub. And so wherever I cut it, it just sent off all these new branches. You can see where I cut it. And wherever you cut it, it just sends out, I mean, this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 lateral branches now. So it's going to really thicken up. And I need to underplant it with something, or just leave it and let it just sort of be a little tree looking thing. You can see that my Rose of Sharon that I tree formed, this is the sugar tip. It's hard to see right now, but when the leaves fully emerge, you will be able to see that this is a variegation in there. It's kind of hard to tell now. Some of them you can tell. But it's got the sweetest little pink blooms. It's the sugar tip Rose of Sharon, and it's also a tree form. It's very easy to tree form these. This is another smoke bush. Its growth habit is really different. It's more of a slow grower, but it is beautiful nonetheless. I don't remember the name of this one. It was not a Proven Winners. I think it was more of a non-branded one that I had ordered online several years ago. But look at that rich plum color. Isn't that beautiful? It's also a very hardy plant. And then I have the Eastern Snowball bush, which is really putting out its little disc of flowers. Just now starting to really open. This will get really large and be a really pretty backdrop, I think, for the smoke bush. But things are just now really getting started. May will be a really pretty time. Roses will be blooming at that point, and a lot of other things will be blooming. So anyway, just wanted to show you a few things that I thought were pretty. And maybe by next video, I will actually have it cleaned up and mulched, which really makes a difference.